Hey guys, let me know if you can hear me. Good afternoon or good generic time of the day, wherever you are. It's good to see those that are able to make it out here, and I'm excited about this new workshop series. So, I wanted to come out here and I want to talk about the materials list and then answer any questions that you have. So, we'll go ahead and get started here. Okay, thanks, Hillary. Hillary let me know that she can hear me, so that's awesome. All right. So I'm gonna go ahead and turn on my next. There we go. All right. If you guys can see that, then we'll talk about the materials list and we'll do some little bit of color matching today. So that's what we want to kind of focus on and make sure that, we're just not getting overwhelmed with all these different colors. So, all right. Now there was an addition that couple of additions I wanted to add, and I'll make that correction out there to the materials list tonight. And I'll talk about that, and we can talk about substitutes as well. But remember, guys, that this is kind of it's a slow going sort of workshop. So that's the fun thing about it is it's going to take a long time to complete this work. So that'll make it nice. All right, turn that camera off for a second. If you can't hear me, let me know. If this is a new software that I'm using, so I just want to make sure you still hear me. Oh, there's an echo. Okay. Thanks for letting me know. Let's see. What about now? Is there an echo now? If you guys can let me know if there's an echo anymore, then that would be great. Okay. Otherwise, make sure you guys can still hear me. I guess I'll type that in here. Oh, okay. You guys can hear me. Good. Let's do some typing. All right. So the one pencil in Derwent Inktense that I want to add is bark. So I can't believe I forgot that one. So I'm going to make that correction, and I'll stick that inside the course tonight. So, all right. So that one we need to add, and let's see, in the Pablo line, we want to add sky blue. Let me see, is that it? No, bluish pale. So here's our pencils for our Pablo line right here. And so this one will be the one we're going to add, is this bluish pale is what we'll add in there. All right, so I'll make that correction as well. And then, I'll take a look at everything else. We're not starting until next week on Thursday, so we've got plenty of time. And if you have any questions about substitutes, then, please let me know. Just shoot me an email. Let me know about that. Okay. Let's see here. So I'm going to be using Pastel Matte by Clairefontaine, and it's going to be the 18 by 24. As soon as I get my line drawing on there, then I'm going to be fixing that to an ampersand hardboard. So if you've got any questions about that, you can let me know that. And let me come back on here and do it like this for a second. So, all right. Move this over now. Let's see if there's any other things that jump out at me that maybe someone might have a question about. Doesn't look like it at the moment. But if you guys have any questions, just shoot those over in the chat there as well. Okay. I want to look on this side of the drawing first, of the reference rather first, and do some color matching over here. That way we'll be able to know exactly what pencils we're going to be using there. So Hillary's asking what size, and that's going to be 18 by 24 on the hardboard as well. So I'm going to cut my large sheet down of ampersand, or I'm sorry, of Clairefontaine, and then I will fix that to my hardboard. All right. It's a good question, but you don't have to do it that large. That's not one you have to really worry about, because you can do it much, much smaller than that and be quite successful at it. All right, so I'm going to grab pink white in my luminance. And I'm going to grab hibiscus pink. And I will grab my... Oh, Pam says it's echoing again. Huh. Not sure why that is. Let me try that. Is that better? It's really odd. Okay. All right. Grab an orange here. Dark chromium orange. Okay. So we're going to be working on a white surface, right? So I'm going to use this dark chromium orange. Just see if we can match some of these colors in the clouds is all we're really worried about. Put a layer of a lighter color on top of that orange, and then there is a hint of pink in there. I'll put that pink down, and then another layer of a white. So I'm going to sharpen that up. So what good sub for the orange is what Hillary is asking. That's a great question. Look here. I think that I would probably use orange in luminance. That would be a great one for a substitute on that. Okay, I'm going to do half of this with pink white. Just to see kind of how close we can get with that. I'm going to do the other half. I'll just do the middle of it here with Oyster in Derwent Lightfast. So we need that to be just a little bit more orange in it. I'm going to use salmon over here. Get a little more of my orange pink in there. And I'm going to go on top of that with my polychromos white. Okay, so we're getting close to some of these values in here. We could add a little more red, it looks like. Some of those colors have a little darker red in them. and a little more orange right in here as well. So that might be helpful. Let's do that. So I'm just going to grab that orange color that I told you Hillary would be a good substitute. Okay. We'll go over the top of this. We could use that dark chromium orange. See what that does to all of those layers. Yeah, kind of nice. Very nice. All right. And, you know, it's just back and forth as well, where we would just continue to layer back and forth, depending on where we are in the clouds and how much, you know, we want to emphasize in the clouds as well. So I'll just highlight a little bit right up here, make that a little brighter right up there. Okay. All right. Well, I'm kind of satisfied with that. That looks pretty good. Okay. Yeah, let's do this. Let's skip over here and look at this more of a red color up above in the sky right there. So we'll start with some Caput Mortem right here. I'll just make it darker up here at the top. All right. Now let's add a layer. We're just trying to speed up this process here. Let's see. A couple more questions that came in. Let me take a look, guys. What would the Inktense pencils be used for in case we don't have them? Sure. Good question, Michelle. So we're going to use the Inktense pencils primarily as our underpainting. And, you know, I might mention that if you have bark, that would be a great one to use as well. And I'll show you that here in just a second. Let me do this. I'm going to go over half of this. I'm going to add bark to the list. And what I'm probably going to do is, because mine's so large, of course, I printed this on 8.5 by 11. So you can work on that size. And there's no problems at all with that. But I'm working a little larger, so I'm going to use the blocks in the Inktense line. I want mine to be 100% colored pencil. And so I'm going to use the blocks. I'm not going to use the paint pan sets. The pan sets in Inktense would not be allowed in the CPSA's international exhibition because of the different formulation for, well, that's part of the reason. The other reason is the form that it comes in. So that's actually really close right there. It's a little bit lighter perhaps than what we're looking at. So we can darken that back down just a little bit, but I want to get some orange in there, just a little bit of orange. Maybe a little tiny bit of red as well. And I'll show you some testing that I did with my Inktense pencils in just a moment here. That's pretty close, actually. Let's see here. Let me go through here and see if there were any questions. Oh, Deb's got a good question. Are we going to do the line drawing with you, or should we start? So we are going to. I'll have some more information coming out soon, but we're going to start that line drawing together on the first day. Okay. So that, I don't want anybody to feel like they're getting behind before we even start. So that's the reason for that. But I will have a line drawing available for you all. But as far as transferring that to your project, that's what I intend to help with. Actually, that's pretty close. Adding that orange in there really helped that quite a bit. So I like that. Okay. Before I go on, then I'm gonna look at this side. Let me grab that sheet that I have for the Inktense testing that I did. It's a fun one to kind of take a look at. So this, looks a little sloppy, but this is what I did. Just taking some of the pencils and applying them to the surface and then adding water just to see what effects that I could get here with some of the water, dissipating or creating that gradation there. So I didn't like this peacock, so I crossed it out. But instead, I think that sea blue has sort of a nice tint to it, as long as we've got, this is a real cool blue, as long as we have this one over here, because it's very warm. So as long as we've got a warm blue to warm that back up a little bit, then we should be fine. We've also got these reds that we're going to use. So thistle and cherry, and then gold. So gold's going to be used quite a bit in these clouds in the background. So that'll help fill in a lot of the tooth, and then it'll just make our job so much faster. And like I said, if you've got the come back on camera here, if you've got the ability to or have access to the blocks instead, that will speed things up quite a bit, because you can paint directly onto your project with a water brush. Um, Actually, I could show that really quick here. It's so fast doing it that way. Grab a water brush, and like I've got these two right here. Minimize myself again. These are bark color. And so if I just apply that directly from a water brush, I mean, you can just see how quickly you can get some coverage. So once you've got your line drawing on there, and then you're going to just apply the pigment directly. I mean, that coverage right there. I mean, how long do you think that would have taken using colored pencil? I mean, yeah, forever, right? So I think that'll be a big time saver if we can do some of that. All right. Let's see, Hillary. Do you do the background before you start on the image? We're going to do a little bit of both because we're going to do that underpainting. So with the underpainting, we're covering everything. And then we're going to just focus on certain areas. And that's in the schedule. If you take a look at that inside the workshop course out there, inside the modules, you can download that PDF. I'm not looking at it at the moment, but I mean, I could if you guys really want me to let you know about that. But yeah, we're going to focus in certain areas, and then as we move forward in the drawing, then we're just going to ignore areas and focus in certain spots, so that we'll um, create segments or chunks of information as these are recorded, because it's 2 hours at a time, you recall. And so if you miss something and it was, me jumping around everywhere, then that may not be as helpful as if you stay for the entire 2 hours and we're only working on the face or something like that. So you got to remember we've got 6 weeks to work on this. So that's a great thing. Question here: if you do the background first, can we put fiscal on it later when we work with the portrait? Oh, you probably mean fixative, right? Um, mm, so you're asking if you do the background first, can we put? I think you mean fixative on it later when we work. Oh, you're talking about. I think you may be thinking of Frisket. Are you talking about Frisket? Maybe. Anyway, I don't think you're talking about a fiscal calendar or something like that. But Fiskar. I don't know what that is. So Debbie, I'm not sure what that is. I know what Frisket is. Is that what we're talking about? Is Frisket? Okay. All right. So if we're talking about Frisket, I mean, you could put that on. There isn't a whole lot of need for that. I mean, you could do that. It's fine. I like the method of, it's real fancy, but it's just being careful. Uh, so I'm not going to get upset at you, if you do it, it's fine. I just feel like it's a lot of work to do something like that, or maybe not. I mean, if you can do that quickly, that's fine. Okay, let's see here. What other questions do you guys have? Can you paint with Neocolor? Yes, David May, you can paint with Neocolor. All right. Let me look through here and see if there are any other questions. I mean, you can use a paintbrush if that's what you're asking with Neocolor too. Yeah. Hope I didn't miss any there. All right. Okay, let's take a look at this blue though and work on that for just a moment here. Let's see here. If you did something like, there's another question, I think, like this with no breaks, how long would it take to finish? Just wondering because I can tell you are very, very skilled with this. Oh, thank you. Um, so the way we're doing this is we're going to be working on it over 6 weeks, and I think I did the calculation. What was it? It was around 26 hours or something like that. Um, we're starting on a Thursday, so that's really not an entire week. But I think if I remember the calendar correctly, I think that we are ending on a Tuesday. So it's like 6 weeks entirely, or seven and a half. No, it's not seven and a half. It might be seven. I think it's around 26 hours though, if I remember correctly when I first was figuring that out. So that's how long it would take. Now, here's the thing, guys. Something I guess I should mention. If I find that, we're not finishing by about the fifth week, we may extend this another week, or we may add a Saturday or something like that so that we can get done with this. So just want to make sure everyone knows that. Okay, let's take a look at this blue. And so if let's see, we've got that. Might be kind of tough to show this. Well, let me think here. Because we're going to have this warm blue. We'll have the warm blue in the background from the Inktense. But then we're going to go on top of some of these with some of our colors from our list. But I do want to just show and demonstrate how, you can use any colors and you can create the color that you want. All right. So um, I'm going to use, I'll do this. I'll use the Inktense color there. And I really can't use a brush on it but you can use them dry, you know. And then what I'll do is grab that Caran d'Ache Pablo pencil. This is that bluish color. What is it called? It's bluish pale. So blending those together a little bit here. Get that a little closer. So we need more red in there. So I'll use pink here. Okay. So we're getting close to this color right in here. And a little more. Let me see here. Let me use, if we want this to be pretty dark right over here, then I'll come over here with dark indigo. Just darken that up right there. Okay, I'm going to use gray. In Pablo. And now I'll use, lighten that back up. Probably should have sharpened this, but I'm going to use my pink white. Okay. Now we probably want to add a little bit of lavender in there. So I'm going to grab wild lavender. So this is what that wild lavender looks like if we're not inside that color swatch right there. All right. Another good one, though, and we've got it on the list, to mute some of these down would be our Mars Violet. And actually, that may have just saved us a lot of time using that one, especially up in here. Okay, now let's try the pink white on top of that. Very nice. It just, on top of those Derwent Light Fast pencils, it smooths out that application layer and it gives it a nice finish. Okay. Yeah, that's pretty close right there. And depending on what you want to do, I mean, you've got this movement going on where the more we travel towards the right-hand side over here, these clouds, they're starting to shift and change. So we've got more pink showing up over there. So we put a layer of pink in there too. All right, that looks good. I like that. Oh, it's exciting. Cannot wait. It's going to be fun. All right, so let's see here. What's a substitute for gray in Pablo? Well, if you look at this pencil, it is sort of a cool gray is what it really is. I'm not sure how well that's going to be showing up on camera, but sort of a slate gray, if you will. So if you've got slate gray in, I think there's luminance slate gray, isn't there? That may not be a bad one. I think there's even a slate gray in the Derwent or pa- um, the Pablo itself, isn't there? Let me see. So if you have that one, you could use it. You've got a polychromos, one of the cold grays. Let me see how well this one would match. Yeah, that one's not bad. So you could use that, Linda. So this is cold gray 3. So that may be a good substitute right there. Um, maybe 4 might be better. Let me put 4 down. Yeah, that's a good one. So it doesn't have to be an exact match either. It can be pretty close. So all right. Okay. So you might notice that, we've got a lot of sort of muted colors in here. Be working with. If you look at the hat and you look at the shirt and even the face and the hair and the skin, the feathers, we're working with a really limited palette, so everything looks very similar. So that's a nice thing about this, in my opinion. So it forces us to think about value quite a bit and to really be subtle in how we're depicting and portraying these color transitions and showing the little nuances of color and value as they move around. For instance, I mean, if you look down here, right down here on the bottom side of this cloud. So we've got this blue up here, and it's very warm. I mean, it's warm in my opinion, relatively speaking. But or cool rather, over here, because as you move down, then you've got this yellow creeping in here. So we could get away with adding a lot of reds and pinks into the blue, but as you move down here, then you're going to make that so much more warm. Put a lot of yellow inside there, which I think is really exciting. I mean, this is nearly green. I'm not sure how well that's showing up on camera right now, but I mean, that's nearly green by the time we get down here to this cloud edge. And we've got the other thing I think is exciting is we've got some of these reflections in that we can play on, where we can put some blues in here, some more warm tones over here, some reds right in there. And then we've got some of this yellow over here in the uniform that he's wearing. Which isn't much different than what we're seeing even in the hair. If you look at the feather up here, then we're talking about some tones that are very similar to the sky in the background there. So not a lot of differences. We're showing the differences with value, edge separation, and form. But I think we could create a very dynamic piece just by doing that, just by being very subtle about it. We don't always have to scream in our drawings. We don't have to have that absolute darkest contrast every single place. All you have to do is touch on that a couple of times, and you've done it. And so we're going to do that. We've got black suspenders if you want to keep them black. We've got a black pipe. We've got a dark area over here. We've got dark sunglasses. So if you touch on black, if you add enough contrast, just a little tiny bit, then that's enough to have a dynamic range. So, all right. Any other questions, guys? Hopefully that some of the emails that I was getting were just concerns about, oh no, I'm freaking out because I've never drawn clouds like that. So I just want to make sure that, we've allayed some fears and you feel a little bit more confident about that, because that's really not something that I think you should worry about at all. We'll get through that and we'll take our time and we'll get through it. That's the nice thing about this workshop. You're going to see everything. We're going to show everything from beginning to end inside the workshop, in real time, live while we're drawing. That's why this series is called No Stroke Left Behind, because you're not getting a catch-up video at the end of it all. We're just working together on this, stroke by stroke, stroke by pencil stroke, and we're showing every single part of the process rather than taking a section or something like that. So what are the blocks called? Hillary is asking. I think they're just called um, Inktense blocks, aren't they? I've got some here. Um, I've got the larger set, the 72 set, but here is a small set, Inktense blocks. Now the problem with these is that when I look at them, unless I'm missing something, I can't tell. I cannot tell what these are, which color these are, because they're not labeled, is what I'm saying. So there is that. But I can tell by looking that this is bark, right here. So one of my favorites, right down here at the bottom. But when you order them, the list will tell you, if you're ordering on Blick, it will tell you what's included in the 12 set. 72, of course, has every color that there is. So, and they're not listed either. I've got those around here somewhere, but they're not listed inside the tin itself. So just something to keep in mind. So Deb's asking, what about Prismacolor art sticks? What about Prismacolor art sticks? What about them? Are you asking, should we use those, or can you use them? You can certainly use them if you want to. You would use solvent with those, not water. And if you've got any left, aren't they discontinuing those? I think they are. So if you've got those still around somewhere, then yeah, you could certainly use those. Now, yeah, I mean, just the process will change a little bit. So does anybody have any question about paper itself? Like if you're not going to use the Clairefontaine paper, then we can talk about that. I just think that pastel mat is such a great paper for something like this. Let's see. So what's the advantage of Inktense blocks over the pan pastel? I don't know that there's necessarily an advantage, Marilyn. Yeah, I don't. It's just a different product. It's a entirely different product. Pan pastel is, it's a different medium. Inktense is a different medium, although it qualifies as a colored pencil. So, that's, I guess, something to keep in mind, that if you want to enter this, if you're working on this project and you want to enter this in some kind of show or something, where they accept works that you didn't take the reference photo from, then you could enter it as a colored pencil piece if you're using the blocks or the pencils and Inktense. If you use pan pastel, you could enter it as a mixed media in some kind of show, I guess. I don't know that there's necessarily any advantage or disadvantage to either one. It's it's just a choice. It's a different choice. Is all. Okay. Yeah, any questions, though, about substitutes on the paper? So if you're not using this Clairefontaine product, pastel mat, then what I recommend is using a sanded paper. So that's the closest that you're going to get to what we're using in the workshop. All right. Let's see. Could you go over the process of downloading the reference picture and getting it to the size for a 18 by 24. Okay, Linda, what I did in the course module in there, if you go into the course module, you'll see all of the different sizes. I've got them all prepared for you. So you can download each and every one that you want, you know. So if you want it in, let me go back and look really quick. If you want it in, let me open it up here. If you want 8.5 by 11, you know, I've got it in there. If you want it 9 by 12, that's in there. If you want 11 by 14, that JPEG is in there as well as the posterized version, the black and white version, the darker color version, the lighter version, and then I've also got the 18 by 24. Okay. Now I'm going to show, maybe this part might be in a separate video where I will show you how to take a large image like that. I'll be discussing it inside the course as well, but it'll take up a lot of time just doing this portion. So I may video this piece where I'm going to take that large line drawing and translate that into something that's workable and manageable to put the line drawing, to transfer that line drawing onto my paper surface. Okay. So we'll talk more about that in the course though, as well. Let's see. Shiny. You're just talking about differences in paint pastel, I think, and Inktense. Substitutions for Derwent Lightfast, Indian Red, and Cinnamon. Yeah. So I'm glad you mentioned that. So Derwent Lightfast, Indian Red. Is anyone else having problems finding that particular color? So if you are, I mean, so it's a dark red is what it is. Okay. So if you've got ruby earth or, you know, something like that, that should work. Burnt sienna, those kind of colors, these dark reds. That's what we're looking for. Okay. Cinnamon, that, you know, that's a peach color, darker peach color is all that is. There's nothing mysterious about that cinnamon color. That's all it is. It's see if I can grab it real quick. It's over here somewhere. Well, I don't see it quickly. Yeah, it's just, you know, it's a pink with some yellow in it and slightly darker than like a peach color. Thought I had it over here. I guess I don't. But yeah, so substitutes for cinnamon. Do you have the polychromos cinnamon? You could use that. You could use Herculaneum red in luminance. Those might be good ones. So, all right. Okay, guys. I think that might be it, unless there's any other questions before we go. And just let me know. Marilyn says, I don't understand how we get a line drawing that is much larger than our printer. Yeah. Yeah, exactly. So I'm going to help you with that. Okay. You cut it down is what you do. So that's the spoiler alert. You cut it into segments and then you tape that. You can tape it together. You can do this very manually. So I'll show you how to do it. I'm going to have a video on how to do that particular part of it. Okay. That's probably coming out early next week. All right. So, but if you have any questions about it until then, you feel like you can't wait, just shoot me an email and I'll help you with that. Okay. But that's the secret to it. There's no secret. You just break that image up and print it into smaller sections, you know, break it into 4s or 5s or 6s or something like that. And then you just get out the old scissors and you cut areas and then you can tape that together. That's how you do that. So, all right. Anything else? I mean, there's some other ways of doing it as well, but that's a good way to do it. When you're ready to frame your drawing, do you use glass under matte? Glass under matte. So if you're framing it and it's just the paper, then you could yeah, I usually use a matte and then I put a frame on top of that, and then I use museum glass most of the time. All right. You're welcome, Diane. Thanks for coming out here, guys. Really appreciate it. Thanks for being here. And I'm looking forward to this workshop. And if you have any questions at all, always feel free to reach out to me. Type my email in here. There we go. Feel free to email me, john@sharpenedartist.com. So, oh, Tracy, thank you for the compliment on the podcast. I really appreciate that. It means a lot. So I appreciate it. And the guys, again, thanks for coming out here. Really appreciate it. And I'm looking forward to this. You're welcome, Pam. Thanks for coming out. Let's see here. Are there still openings for the workshop? Laura is asking. Yes, I think I checked. Last I checked, there were 3, I believe. So it's filling up quick. I don't expect that those will be there probably in a day or 2. So if you do want to sign up, then I would just say to do that quickly. Let me get you the link to that really quick here. I forgot to mention that. Sorry, I should have mentioned that earlier. Here we go. There we go. So I sent the link in there for you. All right. Okay, guys, I'm going to sign off now, and we will talk to you soon. And like I said, reach out and ask any questions that you have over email. I'll be happy to get back to you. Take care, y'all. Bye-bye.